So what is social engineering? Bad actors use social engineering, or attackers use social engineering to leverage the human factor, or the human element. And again, this is actually done to steal information or create holes in the victims of organizations. Social engineering is evolving so rapidly that technology solutions, security policies, and operational procedures alone cannot protect against critical resources. So again, this is not a technical attack, but an attack that actually targets the human factor or the human entity. There are several social engineering tactics. The first one we actually cover in the previous lesson, which is phishing, and it's basically the ability to send a message that appears to come from a legitimate source, such as a service provider, financial institution, a social media site, and the email message may ask the user to either reply with sensitive data or access a link to update information such as the bank account number, user credentials, and of course the username and passwords, or other sensitive information that they can actually steal from the user. There's another type of social engineering tactic which is called malvertising. What it is malicious ads on trusted websites, which results in the user's browsers being redirected to sites hosting malicious code or malware. And this is actually very popular because basically malvertising, what it's actually doing is leveraging the trust that you have in some websites. Think about news sites, social media, and some other legitimate websites on where the actual ads themselves are being compromised to fool the user on these tactics. Then, of course, the other one is fairly simple, things like phone scams, and not only limited to phone, but of course one-to-one conversations, and in some cases via other methods, like chat. So of course it's not uncommon for somebody to actually call an employee to try to divulge information about themselves or information about the organization. I'll give you a really good example. If I want to know how your organization is deploying firewalls and security products within the organization itself, what I'll probably do is I'll post a job ad asking for firewall professionals or firewall administrators to apply for that job. And I'll make that job very attractive into the fact that whenever I interview the candidate, of course I'm going to ask information such as, how do you implement this in your network? How do you configure these policies in your network? Can you give me an example where you were successful implementing these tactics or these technologies in your organization? And I can assure you that people, for trying to actually get that job, will divulge a lot of information that should be kept sensitive in the corporation. Let's go over some of the defenses against social engineering. These actually include education. So of course, education is a huge part of defending against social engineering. Keep in mind that social engineering in most cases is not, or in all cases, is not a technical attack, if not that you're actually targeting the human behavior. So education is definitely paramount to defend against these type of threats. Password management is another one. Of course, using password complexity, guidelines on the number of characters and how often the passwords should be changed. Of course, help in these situations as well. Two-factor authentication, antivirus and anti-phishing defenses also help against this. Of course, change management and change of control, information classification. Remember all the information classifications that we cover in lesson 1. These also, of course, help defend against social engineering techniques, and of course, physical security in some cases.